was doing some research and just looking back on your songs. I think there was even a short film that you were involved with potentially some of your friends. Is that something that you've always been drawn to do with your friends, just to make like fun little projects on the side, or how long was that like for, like behind your years in filming?
I love that you look back on that and did some of that research, man. I've never gotten to talk about that before, but yes.
I feel honored. Yes.
Well, okay, so as one does when you go to an acting conservatory, you get out of school with a bachelor's of fine arts, and you're like, what do I do? What do I do with my life and my world? Like, sure, I had 4 years at the conservatory, but now I gotta like make connections. We all moved to New York City, basically. We all lived together. You know, we all didn't have jobs. We were just trying to make our own content. And honestly, it brought us a lot of joy, you know? Like we were living together, making content. And you might not remember, but Instagram used to only allow 1-minute videos. They didn't do the whole reel thing, you know, it was just like you could only put 1 minute worth of stuff. So we were like, what if we made short films that were 1 minute? Yeah, exactly. Where it's like yeah. And so we just did fun things like that, and then I would compose the music. I would find a way. So one person would direct it, I would make the music, we would all edit it together, and it was just really fun. And now, you know, obviously there's pros and cons to everything. Now I get to film this show, and my job is just to say the lines and act, you know. I don't have to do all the post-production. Then I go and watch it, and I'm just blown away by how they do it and how big the scale is of it all. And yeah, but I'll never forget the heart of it, which is your friendships and the relationships you create in this business where, yes, you got to make your own content. Always.
That's beautiful. And so with singing, what is the biggest key difference for you when you have to prepare for a song, whether you're either writing or performing, and then performing on a set like for The Chosen?
Well, yeah, that's a question I get a lot because I played music, or I started playing music before I even started acting. You know, I started taking classical piano at a very young age, and I did that for years and years.
And you're amazing at it, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. That means a lot. But then I started acting in middle school, and then I went to a performing arts high school, and then I went to college for drama, and I just knew from a young age I wanted to do this. Like no other options, just this, you know. And I've loved continuing that music along the way, but the acting is the thing that really gives me the most fulfillment, I guess. And then this show last season was able to blend those two things with me, Noah, and Jordan playing music during the Hanukkah scenes, and that was one of my favorite, you know, moments. You know, to get that. And, you know, of course, the disciples would some would have played music, or you know, look, storytelling is like it's from day one. We've been storytelling, playing music, doing some kind of form of entertainment. So I have no doubt they were playing music back then and enjoying and having fun.
Well, you guys absolutely kill it. I'm honored to meet you, and here's to the rest of the years. And I'm believing and praying that there's going to be more windows that open even after The Chosen, and it's going to just be the best years to come, man.
Thank you, Joseph.
As the mother of James and John, Salome is a strong character, and how do you capture that?
I'm a mom. So I had that part down. I just needed to make sure that I prepared Mary Salome. She is stronger than Nina. She's a lot stronger than Nina, and she's the rock of her family. And I needed to give you all the sense that she's kind of in charge. She respects fully Zebedee, but in terms of their spirituality and faith, she feels she has this responsibility. And so that's the way I prepared. I wanted to make her strong and just unshakable.
What can we learn from her for being Because you know the disciples are out and about. There's you and your husband who are at home doing the work there. What can we learn from a character like that? The ones that may not be out there, but they're doing just as much work. If it might not be seen out there, they're doing it internally and within the house for them to come back home and rest. What can we learn from someone like that?
There's patience, there's trust, there's and prayer. You know, your children are out there, maybe in peril. There is an unknown of what's happening with them. So you have to pray for them. And in the house, that's what we do. And today, our kids go out, we pray for them, and we hope we did the best to put them in the hands of God, you know?
Favorite movie?
This is going to sound weird, but The Color Purple.
Which one? There's been two
old
now.
one.
The old one, Whoopi Goldberg?
Yes.
Please don't get mad. I need to watch that.
You need to watch it.
I do.
You will. Your eyes will just disappear because you cried so much. It's amazing.
I love characters that are challenging and that kind of devil's advocate. And your character is an insider. He's a spy. He's lurking in and he's seeing all the corners. He's seeing what's happening. How did you, from reading the script, then performing that kind of character, what did that do for you in the process, even now to season 5?
It's sharpened my skills and my senses. It's a great lesson in active listening, observing. It's really excited my sense of curiosity because Atticus is so curious. He has to be curious for his work, for his livelihood. He's a first century cop, spy, right? And it's really exciting that he's fictional. For me, exciting as an actor because I can bring so much from my imagination in terms of a lot of the internal work. So I think that's the most significant thing. It's taught me how to be more present, more actively involved in listening. I'll repeat that. I'm really understanding the difference between the art of listening and the act of listening. There's a difference, you know. So I've become more of a artistic listener and more present, just more present. Because he has to be fully present in order to detect what's happening, and he's got to see not only what's in front of him, but what's behind another person's actions, what's behind their behavior, to get to the heart of what their true motives are. He's a truth seeker, right? He's investigating the truth, and that really aligns with my own journey, right? I'm very much a truth seeker myself. So, yeah.
Well, how did your background of being in theater and television film influence your performance on this show, being this character?
That's a great question. In theater, you get to spend months developing a character. And so that work, spending 28 years doing that work, you know, you have a rehearsal process where you usually have, it used to be in the old days, you used to get 5 weeks to rehearse a play, right? So, and you usually know about that you're going to be doing that play 2 months out, maybe. So you're sitting with a script, and then you're in a rehearsal room for 5 weeks developing character, day and night. And that's only, when you're in rehearsal. Your time away, you're cultivating your imagination, right? So you're working, you're dreaming. When you're doing a TV or a film role, you get the job, there's no rehearsal, and you come in, you get a blocking rehearsal in the morning, and then you come in and the camera's rolling. So you've got to do all of that work, that rehearsal process, you've got to do it on your own. So I think that the 28 years of theater has helped me work very deeply, very quickly when I need to. And so, yeah, I mean, I came in on the first day of shooting, having done all that internal work, my backstory, my history of Atticus, having done it, so that when the camera starts rolling and action's called, or as Dallas says, here we play instead of action. So when the camera's rolling and we're playing, Atticus is there, fully formed. Now, the great part of doing a TV series is that season to season, if I'm a part of it, I get to move through those changes on that trajectory. And so that becomes the rehearsal process, right? But the rehearsal process is on display for everyone to see. So that's the great benefit. And that's what I love about being able to stay with a character over a multi-seasonal, multi-episode, multi-seasonal show. Is that he changes, and those are exciting to see how, to see the trajectory change. So I think, yeah, and you know what? It's when I was coming up in the world of theater and TV and film, the actors I admired most all cut their teeth on theater. The actors I was following, and their work in TV and film, I think was enriched by having been on stage and having spent so much time in the rehearsal room. And actors like Al Pacino, who is one of my favorites, still is. He cut his teeth in New York as a young actor on doing shows, doing plays, and it translates into his film work.
Well, I appreciate listening to you and hearing you. Second day, any expectations for the day to come?
Oh my gosh, there were so many surprises yesterday that even we didn't know about as cast members. I went and sat in on Dallas's announcements. I was just like, what? So everything has been surprising. I think just the bigness of all of this, and knowing that it's only the second con that we're doing and it's already this massive is, yeah, it's not overwhelming. I feel like that's a negative word sometimes. It's not overwhelming in a bad way. It's just, I think it's kind of hitting me like, oh my gosh, this is big. This is huge.
What prepared you for your time on screen? Like whether it's looking back on the series or getting context from the word, what prepared you to be on screen and executing this?
Executing this ChosenCon? Oh no!
Oh, the role is like, and ChosenCon.
I was not prepared for this. Well, I mean, we get such beautiful scripts, and I'm always astounded because there's just for my character, I play Joanna, and there's one line in the New Testament that just says that Joanna was present. That's it.
It's like Jesus wept. That's all I go off of? Okay.
That's it. Yeah, she was there. So the writers, our gorgeous writers, Dallas, Ryan, and Tyler, have crafted this entire story for this one line. So it's always a surprise because they are making it up, but they've managed with the 1 million of us who are in the cast. It feels like they fleshed out this beautiful story with nuance and complexity. So, I mean, I read their text. That's my scripture, really, for this character because they've created it for me.
What's your favorite movie? Just off the top of your head.
Favorite movie? Goonies is the first thing that comes to mind. Is that your favorite movie too? What? Come on!
So what did you do to prepare for a role that was kind of fun, larger than life at times with your character, but at the end of the day, they had their own agenda. And obviously in their perspective, they thought it was probably right. So what did you do to prepare for that kind of role? And having fun with it too.
Having fun with it is something that I would say I didn't have to prepare to have fun. I just like to have fun. In terms of preparing for a role like this, I really got to work with Dallas to create it. Quintus is not one that appears in the Gospels or any historical literature. It's just a made-up guy, right? So we got to create him from scratch. So to prepare for the role, I got to do a little bit of historical research and talk to Dallas about what the story needed. And the story didn't need some lazy, grape-eating Roman, right? I think the story needed someone who really cared about his job, who cared about the expansion of the empire and tightening its grip of power on the area.
You pulled that off, and you were exceptional. Because to me, that was the best part and so unique, because you hit it on the nail. You didn't need to be this boring dreer of a guy. You brought something entirely different and just kind of fun. Even though, yes, we clearly see him being a bad guy. We're not rooting for him to still be evil.
Right.
But you did the job, and I love it. What can we expect for season 5 with Quintus and this new journey?
You know, I am under all kinds of orders not to reveal anything, obviously. But I think we can expect a little mystery. How about that?
Favorite movie, real quick, off the cuff. Something you can always go back to.
I can always go back to Young Frankenstein.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah, I think it's a perfect comedy. Yeah.
You match that crazy energy so well, so that kind of makes sense to me now. Let's see. Thank you so much. Can I give you a hug? Awesome. Hey, honor you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Can't wait for season 5.
Thank you.
Can I give you a hug? Oh my gosh. Second.
Great to see you.
Hey, it's on. Can I give you a hug? Awesome.
Really sweet.
Joe's interviewed me before. He's great.
Amazing guy, amazing brother over here. So speaking, he's okay? Yeah. What did you do to prepare, especially for this huge arc back in season 4?
Can I speak to like the first time we met?
Yeah.
The first time we met was right before, in season 3, right before I put my hands on, Jonathan's eyes, and you revealed Lazarus. And I remember just having fun. We met, we had fun, and it was just, we clicked immediately. I mean, they have such generous hearts. They're such wonderful people. And yeah, I've just had a wonderful time. It was very easy to just connect with you guys and, kind of fulfill this brother and sister role.
Yeah.
And then we had our times.
The show was really smart to introduce the characters in season 3 because it also gave us a chance to kind of get to know each other and bond. And we had a lot of off time as well to go on hikes. During season 4, we had a month in Utah to just explore and spend time together. So I think that, yeah, and just the casting, like they did such a good job of kind of putting people together who instantly connected and also like had naturally this kind of sibling dynamic that
It's very strange how that dynamic came together. It's just like, it was just there.
yeah, I think it's something that you can't really fully fabricate. It just happened. Yeah.
Another question for you guys is, you guys are coming back for season 5, right?
Don't blink.
Don't blink.
The reason why I say don't blink is because, Lazarus is lying low. I mean, they want to kill him, but there's supposed to be more in the future.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much I can say, but yeah, more laughter, more tears.
Now, what has been your favorite season to film so far?
Season 4.
Okay.
Absolutely. Season 4 was such a joy.
And then this is just something I wanted to ask. How did you guys get involved in this project?
For me, I mean, I've known Dallas and Jonathan since like 2014. Jonathan's been my show Jesus for a long time. And then we, became good friends. And then years went by, we all kind of like went our separate ways for a little bit. And then the lockdowns happened. Dallas had posted something about art, the art that's going to be generated from these times. And I was having the same conversation with my wife the previous night. So I wrote Dallas and I was just like, hey man, I hope you're doing well. I loved your post. And I was like, hey, if you got anything going on, I'd love to get back together and connect. And that's when he said, he's like, funny you should connect with me again. I'm dropping casting for season 2 of The Chosen. And I'm like, what's The Chosen? And then it just spiraled from there. Yeah.
I auditioned for it. Yeah. I had no idea what the show was. And I couldn't believe I got the call back. And yeah, I guess they just saw little Martha in me. Yeah. Yeah. I feel so lucky.
And she kills it.
What is one of your guys' favorite movies? His favorite movie off the cuff, so that you can just always go back to?
Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Shawshank Redemption.
Happy late birthday, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. What a way to spend my birthday. ChosenCon has been incredible this year. It's been another step up from what we did last year, and we're just so happy to be here and to get to spend time with fans, you know.
What has been your favorite experience so far from ChosenCon? Like, what's a key aspect that you have taken away from this experience? And we're not even done yet, but as of right now, what have you loved from this?
It's so much fun to be up on stage with those panels and those breakout shows kind of thing. But we, as the cast, we get to do that a lot. We get to have fun with each other, and we really do. We play board games and video games and stuff together. We hang out outside of set, outside of filming. So I would say the meet and greets are a chance for us to kind of like meet fans one-on-one and take some photos and connect and stuff and hear a little bit about them. So it's been great to just say g'day to them and feel the love, yeah.
For your character, you and your brother, in the perspective of, one of my favorite parts is when you guys are questioning why are certain people in positions and you are not. And you're trying to take a leap of faith of saying, us? What about us? What did you do to prepare for that moment in that season where you and your brother had to come to a realization of, we're doing this and we're wrong for it?
I think what really helps is there's parts of that we filmed a little bit chronologically. We don't usually do that, but I think we had seen, like there was a we didn't know that we would be on camera necessarily, but when Peter gets his name, I do think if you do get a cutaway of John and James, they're kind of like, excuse me, he gets that. And so yeah, and I think a lot of the show we're in the scene because the world has been built around us and we know each other so well. So I guess one of the scenes that actually helped prepare for that was the scene with our mother, who was like, you two, you ask this instant. It was like we were being reprimanded by our mother. We literally were. And so that for me was enough to, when we went into the scene, to give me and James the confidence to go, Mum said so, it's going to be okay. And it didn't go well.
Hey, sometimes we have to learn. There's experience and learning, and you guys, your performances are so captivating with that phrase, because sometimes there's seasons where people just have to get experience and then move forward. So speaking of moving forward, what can we expect for you and your brother in the next upcoming season? Without obviously spoilers, but that theme for you guys.
A little bit of a sad realization that we get in season 2 is that James and John are going to have to go their separate ways, which is really, really sad because they're like tied at the hip. They really are. In the show, those are the brothers. Like Simon and Andrew are close, or Peter and Andrew are close, but they can kind of function without each other. James and John struggle when they're not with each other. And when you think about the martyrdom of the disciples, James is the first, John is the last to die. And so you do have this like separation between the two. And we see in season 2 that John is mourning the loss of his brother, but he wants to just keep going. He doesn't really want to let his emotions take over. So season 5, we see the beginning of that process. John going on his own journey and James going on his own journey, but they're both understanding the same thing. So me and Abe actually asked Dallas, like, could they possibly be twins and James is just that tiny bit older? Because there is this symbiotic kind of understanding between the two. Even though they're apart, they're definitely thinking about the same thing.
Now, before they look over here and say, wrap up, quick question. Acts of the Apostles, the way of the chosen. Your character is so important for the future.
Yes.
And that weight, that holy weight to carry that for entertainment, but also what it means to a lot of people. What does that mean for you to close off the chosen, to then go into something that is different but familiar?
Yeah. I was reading the Acts the other day, actually, and I was very excited by the adventures of John and Peter to an extent. And so I do know, obviously, and a lot of you would know that that's something that takes place in Acts, is that John and Peter go off and they're obviously trying to start the ministry. I'm super excited by what they're going to do. I actually have no idea. That was the first time I'd heard about it, was yesterday. So I have no idea. I know it's going to be quite in the future. So I'm excited to see what plans they have for it. And I'm excited for John. But yeah, I don't know what angle the way is going to be from, like what perspective. I really hope for John's sake that it is from his, that we get a little bit of John's story from that. Because I love the character of John. I've become so close and connected to it. So yeah, it's a big honor.
Can I give you a hug?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Cheers, mate.
Be blessed.
Thank you so much.
You guys do a compelling job, and for you specifically, the scene where you had to crawl repeatedly. Dang. What did that do for you from the beginning to then obviously the beautiful outcome, what we get?
Yeah, you know what's fascinating whenever you get to physicalize a pain, it's a golden opportunity as an actor. That day we were shooting, it was about 38 degrees Fahrenheit, so it was very cold. We had not thought about the sandstone was very scrapey. And it was impossible to drag with my tunic on to drag my body, and it was very difficult. And those grunts that you hear are authentic. I am struggling to move my body because there's so much friction. At the end of the day, we hadn't realized, but my legs were fully scabbed over, and I had lost a lot of skin. And we didn't think about like, hey, we should have put something, a covering over my feet and stuff. But again, as these little gifts as an actor, there was a lot of physical struggle with that. So it was emotionally very hard, and you see that frustration, and it's something that you can't really rehearse. That you find you perform it on for the first time, and then you feel your way through it. And yeah, it was actually very difficult. The moment and when the heel happens, it was just like, and that was our first stuff that we filmed was the crawling, like the very first, and the first shot was the camera drop down pull away, and that was like on set. It was very nerve-wracking, to be honest, because it's a giant rig, a lot of extras, everything's getting wet, and I couldn't get it wrong. And I got it wrong. And I think it was on the third take we got it. But people were getting wet. You felt terrible because it was so cold. Anyway, I can talk. You got to stop me because I will keep going.
I got you. So This is a fun one I like to throw out real quick. What's a favorite movie of yours? Something that you can easily go back to, something that kind of just... I like to call them mini vacations for 2 hours.
I love so much, but Lord of the Rings is like my jam. I memorized Elvish when I was younger, so...
Extended cut or theatrical?
Extended. Come on. I've watched the whole Hobbit through the Fellowship, Lord of the Rings, Two Towers,
Rings of Power fan?
Yeah, I haven't seen season 2.
Okay, it's good.
But I have seen season 1 and I approve.
What about you?
Favorite movie? Waiting for Guffman.
I've never heard of it.
I know.
Oh my gosh, I heard of that. Now I need to look it up.
You look it up. It's hilarious. It's Christopher Guest. It's hilarious.
Recommendation: Dune Part 2. Dune Part 2. Dune Messiah.
Put me in it.
Dune Messiah. Come on. It's an honor to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
How's it going today at ChosenCon?
How are you? Oh yeah, just started.
Was it your first time this year, or did you go last year as well?
I was at the last year's ChosenCon.
Biggest difference for you here and there?
There's like 10 times more people. Like it's a lot of people. I think last year was just kind of like a sample run of seeing how a ChosenCon would go, and it went really, really well. And this year, it's like at least doubled in size, if not more. And so much so there's like just standing room in some of these breakout sessions. And it's crazy because people are coming from all over the world.
First of all, your heart is so seen in your role. Every time you're on screen, my heart melts for your character. You're so compassionate and kind. And a lot more people should be like your character in life. Should be forgiving, should be loving and accepting. So for this time on screen from season all the way to season 5, are you coming back for season 5, right? Obviously, I know you can't talk about anything in detail, but what prepared you for this kind of role?
Honestly, I was completely unprepared. I mean, the only thing that really prepared me was just being in similar shoes as Tamar. Like the life that she's lived, being a woman amongst a bunch of guys, number one, being a foreigner in a land that, you didn't grow up in, you don't speak the language. That's something that I experienced. Just being the other, just walking in a room and being the only person that looks like you, that sounds like you, that speaks like you. That was like the first connection that I had with her. And so I think when I was preparing for season 1, it was a lot of who in my life that I really want healing for and how can I put these things together. I tried to research a bit about her Ethiopian background, to give respect to the culture that I'm representing. But over the years, I found that, I don't know if it's the writers or if it's me, but we're starting to like blend in a little bit. Like where does Tamar start and Amber end, and where does Amber end and Tamar start? But I do notice that what you said is what I agree with, is that a lot of us could use a friend like Tamar, and if we don't have one, that we should be a friend like Tamar.
Quick question for you. What's your favorite movie? Movies to me are like mini vacations, whether it's a good week or bad week. What's something that has either recently stuck out to you or is from the moment you were a kid till now is just something you go back to?
Like my comfort movie, like my favorite movie. Okay, so I love 80s movies. Like 80s movies and 90s music is like my thing. And do not laugh at me. But like my favorite movie from childhood, and I blame my aunt because we watched it every day, is Labyrinth with Jennifer Connelly and David Bowie.
Thank you so much for your time. Can I give you a hug?
Thank you so much for being here.
Be blessed today. My wife actually pointed out to me earlier, your character is a lot like Judas, meaning they want to do the right thing. They just don't know how to do it. And they tend to kind of do the easier choice. Can you speak to that and how you portrayed this character and what eventually will happen? Spoilers.
Yeah, well, that's really true. And I've actually thought that too. Judas is actually, I won't regret saying this, is one of my favorite characters on the show. I love the way that Luke portrays him. There's a lot of empathy for him. And I have that same empathy for Pilate. You know, he's a young, inexperienced guy who's in way over his head and has so much on his shoulders and no support system, especially in season 5. You know, his wife is absent. And he doesn't know if he can trust Atticus, and he definitely can't trust Caiaphas. And so, you know, he's just a young guy trying to do his best job. And I don't know. And I think there is a lot of relation between him and Judas.
What is a scene that you're actually excited or maybe dreading to film in the future, if you can even speak to anything?
Well, I don't know what's going to be in season 6, truthfully. But, you know, there are some key moments that we know happened in history between him and Jesus and in the final decision making that will be very interesting to see. So I'm more excited than anything to see them and read them. But yeah.
Well, what's your favorite movie? This is something that I just love to do. I love watching movies. That's what my whole channel is kind of based on, just reviewing stuff. It's like mini vacations.
Yeah.
Like it could be anything from your childhood, something you just watched last week. What kind of like hits you in like that kind of category?
My favorite type of film?
Yeah.
I mean, I love stories about people, right? Like about like real lives and real people. And one of my favorite movies is Xavier Dolan's movie, Mommy. I don't know if you know it. It's a Quebec filmmaker. He won the Palme d'Or for it at Cannes.
Who directed it again?
Xavier Dolan.
Okay.
Yeah,
When I go back and edit, I'm going to find this bit and then look for that.
Yeah, please do. You should see it. It's one of my favorite films. All of his films are great. He was like 24 when he directed it, and it won at Cannes. Anyway, basically, you know, movies that are, but then, you know, I love like The Talented Mr. Ripley and like movies that are beautiful like that. And I don't know. I mean, but movies about people and humanity and real stories and real lives. It does. I like lots of things. I saw Alien last week, you know, but
Alien
like,
Romulus?
yeah.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to meet you. Can I give you a hug?
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Be blessed. You guys are kind of in two different worlds where the standard and the traditions where your character has known this truth all their life. And now there is this new truth. And it's kind of like behind the scenes where almost like a spy in a way. So can you talk about being in that kind of headspace for this role, for both of your guys' complexities within that?
Yeah, well, you know, it's interesting to think about because you think about, put yourself in that time, and, you know, even in the general public, you know, everyone has known one truth their whole life. You know, Yussif, for example, you know, he's been knowing this, the one truth that he's been following and believing his entire life. Everyone around him has believed these truths. This is what he's learned, what he's a student of, his career essentially. And, you know, to have another, like you said, another truth come along, like, how easy is it for someone to just abandon what they've known all their life and just follow this, right? I think that's the gravity of what Yussif, and his followers are doing. What Jesus' followers are doing is that they're essentially just releasing and letting go of what they've known to follow follow Jesus and these other truths and beliefs, right? So and I think that's kind of where Yussif's journey's been. It's because it's such a difficult thing to do, especially when you're a part of, you know, a part of a group that's supposed to instill these teachings and this truth, right? This is the law, yeah. To like completely like ignore some of those laws and try to and start to understand or hear this and being pulled a different direction. I think that's such a struggle, emotionally, mentally, and so I think that's kind of is one of the things that I think about in Yussif's path, in Yussif's journey.
Yeah. What about for you?
Well, to riff on that, the truth that he's talking about is our parents' truth. Usually, for most of us, we grow up, and how do you honor your parents? Some people's parents might be gone, and like, how do you continue to honor them if this new thing comes into your life that feels like truth? And if you're a parent yourself and you've already started your children on a path towards the truth that you knew, how do you pivot if this new truth comes into your life? So all of these things are important questions, and I love Jairus's curiosity because he's also a record keeper. He's very familiar with history. It's his job to know the scrolls and where to find them. And so when this new information comes in, he has to be curious. He is curious. He wants to know. He's able to. Despite how much he knows that he doesn't know everything. And that's like something that I can personally use a little bit more of when I think I'm certain. All of us, right? Approaching this in a way where you're lucky to still be malleable enough to change, and you have to find peace with, or find for yourself what that means for your ancestors and everybody who got you this far if you change now, and what that could mean for your kids who are hopefully going to change with you, but maybe they're their own people so much and don't necessarily agree. So I don't, it's a tough place to be. I think both of these characters and how they handle it based on their given circumstances make them a mirror to different audience members, different people who are watching the show.
Yeah. Well, it's like the whole thing of your parents' salvation can't be your salvation. And that's part of growing up and living life. Like, you start to have to make your own decisions and eventually what you will believe and want to bring into your family. And then going forward, your kids are going to go through that same cycle. So I love your guys' answers. Thank you so much for that. And something that's fun, because I want to get you guys out of here. You guys have been talking forever. And I just want you guys to relax, get some food. But what is one of your favorite movies that you can just easily go back to and rewatch upon rewatch upon rewatch?
Oh, there's several.
There's a bunch. The Three Amigos.
Okay.
Is an old classic, and man, if it's ever on, first I'm like, holy, the Three Amigos is on. But yeah, I'll watch that to the end every time.
Is that with Steve Martin? Is that the version?
Yeah.
Do you like Only Murders in the Building? Have you been watching?
I do enjoy it. I haven't. I'm behind. They've gotten ahead of me.
Yeah.
That's because my wife insists on moving on without me because I'm busy.
That's
but
like
I'm gonna
half the
catch
time
up.
when I go to screenings, she'll be watching shows without me. I'm like, how
Yeah, what? Come on! I thought we were in this together, man. Like, come on. No, but I get it. It's that good. It's that good. So
Three Amigos. Okay, for you.
The first one that came to there's several, but the first one that came to mind was Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yes, I'm loving everybody's picks today. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I think that's actually my favorite. That's something I go back to
because
as well.
it's. I mean, that was such a fun movie. That's such a fun movie to me because never again will you ever be able to see all these different like franchises just all in one movie, and they're all like, it's a mix of like nostalgic cartoons from my childhood, and also like it's just a good movie, and it's fun and it's funny, and it's
got some energy.
It's got some energy.
Robert Zemeckis, right? Did he direct that? I think.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Phenomenal work during that era.
Which another one is Back to the Future. Another
and
one.
there's a lot. I went for a funny one because that's what I thought you wanted to hear. But like,
It can be anything.
Yeah.
It's depending on the mood. Like, it's
sure.
Do I want action?
Oh man,
Do
I
want
love
comedy,
Braveheart,
romance?
but sometimes if it starts, I'm just like, can I put myself through this ringer right now and still make it where I have to be in an hour and a half? Oh.
It's a 3-hour epic masterpiece.
Yeah.
Yes.
Last night, The Shawshank Redemption was on, and I was like, I'm leaving it on this. I'm leaving this on.
Well, guys, that is a wrap here in Florida for the ChosenCon 2024 edition. I'll see you next time.